actually don't.
Good morning.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I thought it was sideways.
Boy.
Here it is. Doing it again.
25 seconds.
Once you go live, it can't.
20 seconds. 15 seconds.
Enjoy jacked up.
10 seconds. All right, 5 seconds. Here we go. All right, look ahead.
Hey, we looking ahead. God bless you. God bless you. God bless every one of you. You know who we are. You know what this is. Listen, this is the day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing and we are extreme. You know, I was listening to something on Instagram the other day, and there were some people that were singing, and the amazing thing was that they were off pitch, but they stayed in harmony, off pitch the entire song.
Oh, that's good skills.
Nah, that was not good skills.
Talent.
Yeah, everybody was saying that too, but it was like, man, I would have just stopped. I would have just.
No,
People
no.
said, no, the real singer said, you know what? They were so committed to it. We need that level of commitment,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, they was off. They were in harmony, but off pitch the entire song.
I think that's
But listen,
really-
we just hit that extremely. We were all off pitch,
Yes.
but we were in harmony.
There we go.
You know, so we had commitment to our purpose. Commitment to our purpose. Listen, I'm Pastor J.E. Sturdivant, pastor of Faith United Ministry, 7905 Fernham Lane in District Heights, Maryland. And this is Back to Basics, Eyes of Faith radio broadcast, emanating from the very fine studios of WBGR Gospel. Did you hear that gospel?
Gospel.
Yeah, you know, when I was coming up, there was a Broadway play called Godspell.
Yeah, I remember. I heard of that.
Godspell,
Yes.
Godspell. Yeah. So here, listen, we are here and we are in the studios, and I'm happy to have my co-hosts, my cohorts here with me. And listen, I'm gonna let them greet you in just a second, but we got on the other side of the wall, we got Coy, the comedian. He's the one that's holding it down
He
for
is.
us, and we're very, very excited about
Good
that.
morning.
And we are glad to be welcoming everybody in here on our YouTube station.
Hey,
Hey,
guys.
God bless you. Good
We
to
see
have
you
you all
all.
here. And all of you that are here on Facebook Live, as well as those of you who are tuning in on WBGR. Listen, we've been getting a lot of love from WBGR, so I need for you all to keep on sharing this. Get more people to come on with that, because when you get more people coming on to WBGR, it makes us look good to WBGR.
That's good
So
stuff.
please help us out. Help a brother, help a couple of sisters out, help a family out. Have a vision for our family. Have a vision for our family to see our family blow up. Don't let the dysfunction continue. Listen, I've got right here on the left of me, she's getting ready to greet you. You know who she is. She is Steph the Best. .net, .org, .com, the DOT, box of dots, .edu, the LLC. You know who she be. Come. You know it. Come. Greet the people, Steph.
Good morning, WBGR,
Yep.
Facebook, YouTube. I'm excited.
Come on.
I'm so happy. God has blessed me with another day.
Did he do it?
He did. I
Come on
don't know
now.
if I deserved it. I tried, but I just know somebody did not wake up this morning.
How
And
about
he
that?
chose me. So I'm super excited. I'm excited that you guys are watching. Please make sure you're sharing this because it is needed. It helps yourself. It helps people that know you. It helps people that don't know you but follow you, because
Wow.
I don't know why they do that. I don't know why people do that. Like, they follow you, but then don't ever comment, don't
Right.
like nothing,
Lurkers.
but they just watch.
Those are called lurkers.
So give them
Lurkers.
something to watch.
Those are
something
creepy.
big.
They are. They're creeps.
Yeah, we have rulers over here. So, yeah. So share this with all of them because it is needed. It's helpful, and I'm feeling the love. I like it.
saw my sister Jacqueline Williams from up there in the
Morning.
Mount Vernon area. Good to see you, sis. Jason LaPlanche from up there in the Boston, Massachusetts way. Good to see. He's got a radical ministry. He took,
good.
I think you took a nightclub or something, man, and turned that thing into
Wow,
a church.
that's
You
That's
know?
what you call
He did his thing,
That's
and
what
he
you
is
call winning.
pulling all
Yeah.
millennials, all young
Yeah.
people. Man, I'm so proud of you, man. So
Good
proud.
stuff.
He's doing it big. Vanessa Williams, God bless you.
Hey.
Good to see you on here.
Good morning.
I appreciate all of you all coming on. Cheryl Henderson, thank you so much. Thank you. There's my sister,
Hey.
Eartha Baynard. That's my sis. Good to see you on there. We appreciate you. I haven't seen any names come up on YouTube.
Man, you had Ty Crawford. You
Ty
had
Crawford
Dinky
came on.
West,
Thank
Gene
you.
Sturtevant.
Thank you.
You be
See, you have to, I can't look at both of them at the same
Yeah, okay,
time.
I got you over
I don't
here.
have eyes that kind of going,
Okay,
you know what?
I don't understand.
I don't know why you did that. I don't know why we have friends.
That was all him, guys.
Oh my
Good
goodness.
morning to you all.
On the right of me,
Hey.
you know who she
Hey.
is. You know who she is. From DC to LA, back to DC again. Listen, one word, one name, one mic. Josie on.
Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. WBGR family, good morning. Facebook and YouTube, y'all, we are excited. We are here. Hey, if y'all don't know, because WBGR, they've been doing some things.
Oh no, they blowing up.
I mean, I don't know if they saw the video commercial that we did. Now, that's something just to let y'all know is about to great be some things
Oh, that's about to
happening.
blow. I mean, for real, for real.
I mean, we're giving you all small signs. I don't know why y'all don't see it yet. I don't know why. We have commercials that we're doing. I can't tell you all. All I just need you all is just to continue to follow and stay tuned because.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't something happen with you last week? Didn't we have a little something take place? I'm just trying to figure out.
What happened, huh?
You know, something happened with you by way of WBGR, and
They-
maybe some people that are listening or tuning in maybe need to tap into this fresh opportunity,
Yeah.
this new chance that they can get to be heard and viewed by about 6 million people.
Yes,
You
a lot of
know,
people that's following,
and we are in this area. The WBGR family is blowing up larger
Yep.
than well-known radio stations
These are facts.
in this area.
These are
But
facts.
and they're being creepy because they're lurking,
They
checking
see-
out
they
WBGR.
see-
You
they
know,
see- they
trying to
see.
come in incognito, acting like they're not checking out what WBGR is doing. Mr. Lionel Green,
making it
the
happen.
man is
He is
doing this thing
making it
real
happen. He
big.
is making
But
it happen.
what happened with you? Didn't something happen with you that maybe
Oh,
somebody needs to
right.
get in touch with you on?
Yeah, so hey guys, I had the privilege. I appreciate let me actually publicly thank I got a lot of love. A
Yes,
lot of
you
love
did.
from everybody and I appreciate that. I was actually promoted.
Come on here.
Nice.
They just came and took you off my show.
I'm still here.
No, but you see, it was because of this show. This show gave you that kind of exposure. They said, oh my gosh.
This
We
show.
need this.
This show. People really don't know that I've really been doing this. I went to school for communications.
They don't
so
know.
I've been doing this for some years, but WBGR
They
has
don't know that you did that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that you spent a little bit of time at
Radio One.
Radio One.
I have. I've been around. I've
don't know.
New World Radio in Arlington, Virginia. I've done some things. So
Yes.
I'm grateful. But WBGR has made me the director.
Come on now with the word.
I know.
With the
that's
title.
what I was right. Director?
Come on with the title.
Let me be the director.
The director.
I'm not going to say nothing else. Let
Yes.
me just be the director.
Yes, that means you must have some direction. Come on.
You know.
That's
And I'm
it.
directing.
The directing.
Yes.
Come on now.
The director of ministry, where I am one who's going to be bringing you all in.
All of you all out
look,
there.
if you've always, I put it out there, if you have a show, if you have a ministry, if you have something where I'm telling you, because Back to Basics, Eyes of Faith has been doing some amazing things. We have made a lot of connections as a result of this
Yes, we
broadcast.
have.
People we have connected with all over the world.
All over the world.
There are people who moved from Atlanta to this area as a result of the broadcast.
Absolutely.
So many testimonies as a result of this broadcast. And I'm using this broadcast because this broadcast is one that I am a part of, and I'm glad to be a part of it. But then also because I've seen the growth that has
Yep.
taken place
Yep.
as a result. And if you have a ministry, you don't have to be a licensed, because nowadays everybody, pastors and apostles and bishops,
Yeah.
without,
No credentials.
yeah, no. But, this is what God has called you to as far as a calling, and you want to get the word out. We said 6 million people. It's a lot more people that is tuning into the WBGR because it's internet radio.
It's internet
and
radio.
people don't realize how internet radio has actually It's taking over.
Yeah, it is.
It's taking over. You know, the crazy part is it's taking over radio stations.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Because we're
it is.
visual. I mean,
Yes.
come on.
Yes.
We're visual. In the way that we go live every week, you want to see us. That's what internet radio is.
And it could happen for you.
It can happen for you. Now, if you are interested and you say, hey, Janice, look, I want to get out there. I want to do something, or I have a commercial I want to get out there, or if it's just something.
I've got a
weird.
business.
I've got a business.
Because we have many arms here at WBGR. And as we speak, he walks in the door. Mr. Lionel Green.
Always just so cool, calm, and
Yeah,
collect with it.
you would not know how big he is because of how low key he
I
is.
need to be like that. That's what I'm about to go and start doing.
It's called humility.
Yeah, I'm walking in it.
It's called humility.
I'm about to go and walk in it.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like I'm
what
walking
it
in
is.
I'm
You
gonna
know.
walk with it with my hat on, so nobody don't really know who I am.
But you know, the thing that's really crazy about what's happening with you is that it's not just for people that are local. You can have people that are from anywhere in the
Anywhere
world.
around the world,
They can
send their message, their sermon, audio, visual, and we can still have it played over the airwaves. That's pretty huge. So if you know anybody, Facebook, WBGR, YouTube, if you know somebody that they want to get the word out. You know, you got something to say too. Come on, let's share it. Let's share it and let's put it out there. Connect with me.
I'm so proud of you.
Hey.
Proud of you. I am so proud of
Thank
you
you.
and all you do. I am so proud. I am so proud. I am so proud. I am so proud. I'll tell you, that's why we're going on TV.
Exactly.
That's why we're going on TV.
They're like, what
Who
is
else can
going
do
on?
that?
Right.
Who else can do
Nobody.
that and still be closed
No
with
one.
people weeping because they want to get serious about Jesus? It's because it's important that you have balance in your life.
Man.
You have got to have the ability to love God and love life, you know?
So, now look, let me take it off of me and let me bring it to this guy right here because
This
I don't
guy.
think you guys know. Now, y'all see him on the broadcast. He's actually, you had a men's ministry last night. You're a teacher.
Last night.
They
we
don't
get men's ministry.
know that you're a teacher, that
They
you
don't
don't
get
just
it.
be in the pulpit on Sunday.
They don't understand.
You do a conference call on Mondays.
Yes.
You teach the men on Tuesday nights.
Yes, do
And then
midweek.
y'all do breakfast on Saturday mornings.
We do breakfast right after. I treat the men for
They
breakfast.
didn't hear that part.
They didn't hear that. I treat the men for breakfast because, you know, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. And a lot of men grew up without having a father in their life, without having anybody that really spoke into their life or spent time with them. So what I do is after we have our time on Tuesday, then we'll have a Saturday that I'll just take them out and let them eat as much as they want.
They eat you all.
Yeah, they do eat.
Now this is what I'm tying it into because we've been talking about family dysfunction and a lot of the relationships that you may be going through the dysfunctions with. Let's try to help that out. So if you have a spouse, a husband, a boyfriend, a brother, any male figure that's in your life.
Male side piece.
A male. Oh, okay. Yep. A male
Those are
side
around.
piece. They are around.
Come on. They call them F boys.
If you have those. If you
See,
have
y'all think I'm
those.
be up on stuff. I'm up on everything everybody doing. Y'all that want to hear it, that's why I gave it to you just like that. Don't be embarrassed that I said it. Be embarrassed that you live in it.
So if you have any guy and you want them to have some type of mentor, teaching, example, please connect with Pastor Stradivar. He's doing some amazing things. I'm segueing because you don't know that he's just a preacher. You don't know that he's just a teacher. He's a mentor. Then also he's an author. And I put this out there every week. That I don't know if he's still doing that special that you had gave him last week.
I think I'll let it run till the end of January.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay. That's
Y'all do it till the end of January.
Very nice
that's a
of
bl-
you. Yeah.
2019 is doing something for you.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening because I know that by the end of this month I'm going to be talking to my publisher about getting my other books out. So I'm doing this now so that people can get these before my next ones
Get
come
these
out.
books. He has written 6 books. He's doing a thing where if you buy 5 of them, well, 4 of them.
4 of them.
4 of them.
I'll give him the
Steph
other
jumped
2.
on that. If you buy
That day, before we got out of here.
She was like, my books, can you please sign them, please, sir? If you buy 4 of them, you get 2 of them free. Come on, guys.
Can't beat that.
Come on, you cannot beat that. And you might as well, even as Steph, she's a good example. She purchased the books and then she is sewing them in people's lives. So
Wait a
look,
minute.
she is.
Are you serious?
She is.
I thought you were keeping them for yourself.
already have them.
I'm sewing the ones that I already have.
She already had them. So look, if you want to get them, please go on his website. Pastor Sturman has his website where you can actually purchase the books. You can read up on the books, hear him talk about the books. You can also see some of his sermons. And if you just want to know anything that's going on with Pastor Sturdivant, go to www.jesturdivantministries.com. www.jesturdivantministries.com and connect with him. Or if you just want to sow a seed because he's been a blessing to you, or if you want to be like, hey, it's the first month of the year, I gotta get Pastor to be a part of my conference, my workshop, my service, anything that you got going on, because I'm telling you, he loves people and he loves his calling. He loves it and he wants to be a part of it. So if you have something and you want Pastor Sturdivant to be a part of it, contact me, Janice Sturdivant. Let me give you that Cash App handle if you want to sow a seed. That's the $, capital D, lowercase r, capital J, capital E, capital S. And we thank you all who have been sowing. But if you want him to be a part of the next event, contact me, Janice Sturdivant, and I could be reached at 301-736-2383.
Now you know.
301-736-2383. 301-736-2383.
Listen, call her. Get in. You can get all of the info for whatever you need for me to do or you would like for me to do. You know, I've got a daughter up in Connecticut, and she is on my conference call on Monday evenings.
Okay.
And she did the fast with us.
Nice.
Wow.
And then sent a seed in.
See.
You know, I mean, she did the fast with us. And those of you who didn't go on our website and did not do the fast with us, I'm telling you, you need to start the year off by letting your body know that this year you won't control me. By letting relationships know this year you won't control me. By letting television know this year you won't control me. By letting Facebook know this year you won't control me. And what we did was during our fast, we cut out all of that stuff. We cut down on so many different things. And we just got disciplined. We got disciplined. You can't be a disciple without being disciplined. So there's got to be some things that you have got to get control of, that you have got to have the ability to do in order to have a year that looks different. Good to see Pastor Simeon Coram. He is over there at Goshen. We appreciate you, man of God, for coming on. He is a prayer warrior, a prayer intercessor, and we appreciate him. My daughter, Christine Allen, good to see you on there. Appreciate you. And we're just glad to be here today. And we have been dealing with this whole concept of family dysfunction. And I'm here to tell you, we've been having some positive results. Do you know that my brother came up to me on Sunday and said that the little bit, because he came into our leadership session and then he came into the latter part of the service, and he says, and if he's watching, you know, love you, man. He said, it took me 55 years to realize you were right.
Wow.
Do you know? I mean, the dysfunction in family does not mean that you cannot function as family. Somebody has just got to maintain their focus, maintain their vision, and not let being ostracized, being talked about, being lied on, being made fun of, make you give up on the course that you want to see your family going. And you know, that's why many people's families never succeed, because it becomes more personal than what you want for the entire family. You know, it's like, I ain't got to put up with that. I ain't got to, yeah, but the picture is bigger than your own personal emotions. The picture is bigger than your own personal pet peeves or what they said about you. I shared something when I was dealing with the men last night, and I told them this. I said, the Bible talks about let the wheat and the tares grow together. What people don't understand is that during immature stages of wheat, get ready, during the immature stages or the growing stages of wheat, wheat which ends up looking gold and tare which ends up looking grayish, at a certain stage of their growth, the wheat has a grayish looking look to it. It has not matured, so wheat and tare look just alike at certain stages. As a matter of fact, the name for tare is bastard wheat.
Wow.
It looks just like it. It's in the family, but it's not what the family is. The problem is that the Bible says, let them grow together, and then the one who has the knowledge of them will separate them. Why did he say that? Because under the soil, wheat and tare will be so close together until their roots will be tangled up. And by the time you are trying to separate the wheat from the tare, you may wind up doing damage to the wheat so that it never matures. Many people are not bad people, they are just immature in their growth. And we give up on them at a stage of immaturity because our impatience does not want to wait for the fulfillment of what they're going to be. And by so doing, you wind up doing damage to a good person that might be tied into an immature person. Oh my God. And that's what happens sometimes in churches. You know, you get in churches, you get in ministries, and somebody gets upset with someone else. And so when they blast that individual, they don't realize they're tearing up a whole family that's tied into that individual simply because that person was immature and the person that was over them did not have the patience as a visionary, as a pastor, or in families as a parent, as a guardian, to wait for the maturity of the individual. Do you know, the Bible talks about, that's right, Ty, my cousin Ty, the Bible talks about, you know, an amazing passage of scripture tells us, and you'll see it in the book of Mark, and Mark is not an original disciple. Mark was actually a secretary. He was a secretary that wrote what Peter, who was an original disciple, told him to write down. It is only in the book of Mark, and his name is John Mark, but they called him Mark. It is only in the book of Mark where you will hear the story of when they came to take Jesus in the garden. It says that there was a young man that when they came to take Jesus, they grabbed him by his garment and he ran out of his clothes and went buck naked, running through the woods to get away. That was John Mark. Now, in the book of Acts, when Paul is getting ready to come and go on his missionary journey, he wants to take Barnabas with him. Barnabas, who is the brother of Mary, it was over Mother Mary's house where they had that prayer service when Peter was in jail, you know. And so Paul says, I want to take you, Barnabas, with you. Barnabas said, well, if you're going to take me, you got to take my nephew. His nephew was John Mark, because John Mark was the son of Mary over whose house they had the prayer meeting that got Peter out of jail. Now watch this. Paul says, Barnabas, I can't trust your nephew. Can't take him with me. He got a bad reputation. See, he was the one that ran out of the garden when our Lord and our Savior was being taken, so I can't take your nephew with me. Barnabas said, if you ain't taking my nephew, I ain't going. Paul said, deuces, you ain't got to go. And so he wound up getting Silas to go with him to go on that missionary journey trip. However, when Paul was in prison, an abandoned, a forsaken apostle, where nobody came to see him, nobody cared about him, he was in there. Only Luke, his physician, was there to write and take notes for him. While he is in jail, he writes to Timotheus, or to Timothy, as you all call him in the Bible. And he says to Timothy, he says, Timothy, he says, I need you to come and get me. But before you come to see me, I need you to pick up my books, pick up my parchments, my books and my parchments, my writings and my scrolls. Bring those. He says, but bring John Mark, because John Mark is profitable for ministry. What happened between the time he says, I don't want John Mark with me, and now him being abandoned as an apostle in prison? Some years had passed, and it gave John Mark some time to mature. He wound up being good for ministry because he had some time to grow up. A lot of us have thrown people away because we didn't want to give them time to grow up. They went through phases of their flesh being out of control. They went through phases of them saying crazy things, being disrespectful. They went through phases of not wanting to go by family rules or household rules. They went through phases. But if you as a parent, an adult, or a guardian expect for a child to be on the same level as you, then either the child is a genius, or you are an idiot. Because there is no way that you can have 20 or 30 years over a child and then think that a child, because they have breasts and because they may have pubic hair, is going to be on the same level mentally or emotionally as you are. Give them some time to grow up. Even Paul said this, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child. I understood as a child. He said, but when I became full grown, I put away childish things. How many people have been wounded and kicked out of church simply because they had not grown? How many people, do you know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was actually one that came to a Baptist church when he was a much younger man. And because he was not dressed appropriately, did not look right, the Baptist church wound up putting him out. Look at the voice that we could have had. Look at the personality that we could have had, which is why whenever you hear him speak, he is preaching and teaching from the Bible more than he does from the Holy Quran, and he is in more churches than he is going through mosques. Why? He has that root in him. We have thrown away people simply because we did not understand their growing process, their maturing process, and we have hurt some people, and the church is going to have to do some repenting, and some pastors are going to have to do some repenting, and people are going to have to do some repenting because of our lack of guidance when we were brought up. It made us not be able to be spiritual parents for the ones who were also growing up. Listen, you don't throw people away just because they are immature. You teach them and give them time to grow. See, I can't get no thumbs, no hearts, no nothing on this right now because, see, I'm saying some things that some of you recognize that not only have you done, but they have been done to you. That's where they come up with the term of church hurt, you know, because somebody may not have been at a certain level at a certain time, and people did not have the patience to go ahead through with them. Y'all want to say anything before I get into this teaching tonight? Because I just now stepped on something.
I think what you're saying is good, and it almost have to have you kind of consider a lot of things. From one perspective, I know for me, I'm grateful that I have a God who is so forgiving.
Yeah.
Because when I know that I have been jacked up and have messed up and have failed so many times, he didn't give up on me, so why should I do the same thing with people who have messed up?
That's right.
And fallen up so many times. So I'm grateful that God is a good example as far as that compassionate love, where if he's able to forgive flawed me,
Right.
why can I do that if I call myself a Christian or a child of God?
Or have Christ in you.
Or have Christ in me. Why
Right.
am I not the same way? And then it's just also just kind of have you consider that we probably have thrown away some relationships that could have been so good for us if we didn't allow our emotions to take the best of it. Even if I were to be transparent, you know, Steph and I, in our years of friendship, we grew up together.
Right.
So there were things where we both have messed up in our relationship.
Right.
So much where we both was like, okay, we're done with it.
Right.
But if we would have been done with it as we said we were when we were immature,
Right.
we wouldn't be in each other's lives
Absolutely,
now.
absolutely.
And so we had to grow up together. We had to learn some things, and it took a lot as far as us being vulnerable, us being honest, us being open, and be like, you know what, we need each other.
You had to grow up in things, grow out of things, grow through some things.
Exactly.
You know, in order to be able to be people who now are able to be helpful to each other's growth.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly. So it's just, you know, once you get to that point, and I think it was great as far as what you had gave in your story, that people have to mature. And a lot of times we hold on grudges, we hold to grudges, or we're so bitter, or we allow our emotions to not allow us to see the future.
Yeah.
And so we just focusing on the now, and we just
That's
cut
no
people
vision.
off. That's no vision at
No,
all.
absolutely.
And you're cutting off things and people that could be a blessing to somebody else. If you would have gave up on your brother,
How about that?
your brother now.
How about that?
You know what I mean? It's crazy how things come full circle. So let's not be so quick to throw in a towel. Even if you don't know what to do, keep praying. Keep being consistent. Keep being you, and then you just never know how that's going to turn around.
And you know, the thing that's very, very interesting about that is that I've had so many times in dealing with him, and I love him, but he was angry, he was bitter, he was going through his own issues and things of that nature. And it sometimes takes time and life working with the Holy Ghost
You a lot, yeah.
in order to get you to where you need to be. You know, it's like, I'm waiting on the Holy Ghost. No, it sometimes takes more than the Holy Ghost. It takes time, it takes life, it takes mistakes, it takes failures, it takes hitting the ground a couple of times to really bring you to a certain point where you say, okay, I'm ready to hear this. I'm ready to do this. And I don't really care what it takes. That's why you don't write people off and say, to hell with everybody. No, 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 no. Do you understand what you're saying when you say that to someone?
Yeah.
You don't want anybody to be written off like that, because if that same measuring rod was used with you, you would have been cut off long time ago, because there was somebody who was tired of you.
Yeah.
There was somebody that was sick of you. There was somebody that didn't want to put up with you anymore. But here is God. You know, I look at that thing and I see my daughter, Jacqueline Williams. She says, even in marriage, there have been times your mother and we had told each other, bye, out of here. And because we went through the growing pains, now 40 years later of being married, 46 years later of being together, we're like an example to other people. Why? Because you recognize that there is growth that has to take place. There is growing that has to take place. Steph, you want to say something to me, daughter?
Yeah, listening to what you said, and, Janice, it's just amazing because, once you do grow, it happens overnight. Like,
yeah, it seems like,
change. Yeah, it's just like, I don't realize it's been 5 years. It feels like it's just one day. Like yesterday I wasn't praying, and today I am. And tomorrow I am. And it's just like today I want to read, where yesterday I didn't want to read. And it's small steps that happen over a long period of time where it's just like instantly the growth happens.
Yeah. And it'll seem like, it happened overnight when it really happened over time.
Yeah.
It happened over time, but it seems like overnight. It's just like when somebody has hurt you. When you get over it, you don't know when you got over it. You don't know when you got over them. You just know that it doesn't hurt anymore.
Right.
I'm telling you, pain does a wonderful thing.
What did I tell you? I said, if experience is the best teacher, then pain is a professor.
It is.
If experience is the best teacher, then pain is a professor. That's in my book. Encouragement in small doses. If experience is the best teacher, then pain is a professor. There's stuff that you will learn from pain that you would have never gotten by going to school. You would have never gotten by going through certain things. You had to have pain to really make you walk away from some stuff and walk away from some situations, And so I'm grateful, I'm kind of like, David was in Psalm 119 around verse 71. Psalm 119, verse 71. He said in verse 67 of Psalm 119, he says, before I was afflicted, I went astray. But then when he got down to Psalm 119, verse 71, he says, it was good for me that I was afflicted, because I have learned your statutes. I learned some standards. I learned something that I would not have learned had I not gone through the affliction. Someone says that they need that quote. Get the book. Encouragement. I got a bunch of quotes. It's all small quotes, all very, very small. 2 lines. Bishop Collins, good to see you on, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on. So I want to talk about a couple of things, because one of the things that was difficult, not only in my upbringing, but then in raising my children, is that there must be a vision for your family. And that's what kind of keeps you from giving up. What keeps you from giving up is there a vision? Is there a goal that you want to have for your family? Sometimes when we're getting ready to do something, say, well, what do you want to do? Well, we're going to go here and go do that and go do the other. And then the first thing that is said after you do that, if the person is in agreement, they say this. They say, sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Well, why is that? Because now somebody can buy into what you have given them direction for. We're going to run by here, then we're going to swing past here, so we don't double back. We're going to go and get this at that time, and then we'll come back around. Sounds like a plan. What I want to know is, when it comes to your family, did you have anything that sound like a plan? Or did you just have children and just figured by 18 they're going to be out the house? You knew what to do the night you wanted them. And then 18 years later, I just want them out the house. No, what? That's all we do for sometimes with our family, is we make them and then try to get rid of them. But the record is, in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way that they should go. I'm not even going to go back into what I was talking about when it comes to picking or choosing who you're going to be with. We talked about that a few weeks ago, whereas you must have someone that you really believe that I am going to spend the rest of my life with. Listen, y'all, I'm about to tell you something that's going to mess you up. One night stand cannot be I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person.
Yeah.
Because you've already determined that they were a one night stand. That could not have been the plan to who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Unfortunately, sometimes a child comes as a result of a one-night stand, and now you are connected with someone for the rest of your life that you really didn't plan on spending the rest of your life with. Oh my God. But you have got to train up a child. Now that word train is a very, very difficult one. You can look at it from a few perspectives. When you go to the Universal Circus, you are going to see trained lions, trained tigers, trained bears. Yeah. Bears in their natural habitat don't sit on stools with little caps on. Lions in their natural habitat don't run and jump on tables or jump through hoops.
Yeah.
Tigers in their natural habitat don't sit on bikes and try to ride them. You have to train them. What does that mean? That means that you have to now take a chair, a whip, and try to break their natural nature to make them be something that they are not naturally inclined to do. Y'all don't love me now. When it comes to raising a child, the Bible teaches us that foolishness rests in the bosom of a child. But it tells us that a rod will drive it out. I know all you all want to throw rocks at me, talking about, we don't be doing that kind of discipline on children. We don't be beating them. It's been psychologically proven that if you discipline a child by beating them like that, they're going to grow up and be. The book says that foolishness rests in the. See, I don't have a whole lot of the other stuff. I'm just going to go by what the book says. I did not say that you beat a person because you are angry. I said discipline. My children would tell you that before we did any discipline, it was always a talk for us. They got to the point where they would say, could we just cut out the talk? Can you just whip us so we can go on? Didn't it come to something like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of lectures.
Yeah, because because you don't just, see what it did was a couple of things. Number one, it created a dialogue so that your child knows what you are expecting. And you can understand how a child thinks. I always said to them, why did you do? And you can never say what?
I don't know.
You can never say, I don't know. I don't know is never an acceptable answer. Why is that? Because I wanted to make sure that everything that they did, good or bad, have a reason for why you do it. Don't let somebody just have you doing something without you knowing why you're moving the way you're moving, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're drinking what you're drinking, why you're smoking what you're smoking, why you're laying with who you're laying with, why you're staying where you're staying. If you start asking yourself some questions before you do certain things, there are certain things you won't continue to do. Because I could not give myself a good reason as to why I should be doing this. Therefore, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so we had lectures that would last for what?
Oh, wow. A long while.
It would be maybe an hour.
That was a long time.
Or two. Because I have 4 children.
Yeah.
And each one would have to hear the entire lecture. Why? Because even if this one did it, the other 3 needed to hear it so that they would not have to go through whatever this one did and could see the repercussions of this one so that they would not do it and get those same repercussions. See, there was a method to my madness. It wound up making them get closer. You know why? Because then they started protecting each other. Nobody, we don't know who did it, Daddy, but it's broken here in the middle of the floor. We don't know who did it. Well, your mother and I weren't here. We don't know who did it. Okay, then all of you get disciplined the same. Since all of you were here and nobody did it, all of you get the discipline that was the same. Why? Because we had to teach that there are repercussions to actions. Why am I saying that to you? Because where there were no repercussions for actions, you now have people that you have to call the police on. And the police are now coming, shooting your child because you let them think that they could get away with anything. Now, when they were small and they spit in your face, you thought it was cute. Now they are older and they slapping you in your face and you want to call the police on them and they shoot your child. Why? Because you did not set certain standards earlier on. Train up a child. Because see, the truth of the matter is I was watching something yesterday, it came down my timeline, that there was a lion, several lions that were in the cage, and the person was there, and the lion didn't want to jump through the hoop. Yeah. He did not want to jump through, but he's like, this is not the day I'm jumping through. I'm not jumping through a ring of fire today.
I like it.
And the guy hit the lion, and suddenly the lion's real nature rose up. And he ran and attacked the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then other people came in trying to help. And because see, you can't get mad at the lion
Right.
because lions
him.
are not meant to jump through hoops. Why am I saying that? If you don't do something to set boundaries for the nature of your child, for the boundaries of the nature of your marriage, for the boundaries of the nature of your friendship, then the people within your family, marriage, friendship will do things that are out of bounds, and you're trying to figure out where did that come from. It's because you did not have a vision for the relationship. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 29 verse 18, Proverbs 29 verse 18, where there is no vision, the people, or where there is no open revelation, people cease to be disciplined. They cast off restraint. If you don't have a vision, everything will be off. You have to have a vision for your check when you get it. Whenever that is, with the government shutdown.
Right.
You've got to have a vision for your relationships, a vision for your marriage, a vision for every facet of your life. So what we were trying to talk about and have been trying to deal with over the past few weeks is what's the vision for your family? Because a lot of the dysfunction within the family is because there was never a vision of how you wanted it to function in the first place. You were simply hoping that it would work out all right. You know, I just wanted something I could love. And you got something you could love. But you had no vision for how it was going to go. I know of people that have been through Faith United Ministries, our ministry, and they kept having children, but they only had children, and then when the child got to a certain age, then they would have another child. Do you know why they would have another child? Because they only wanted the child as long as it needed them.
Yeah.
The moment the child got independence and did not need to be hanging on their breasts, did not need to be held in their arms, then all of a sudden, the individuals would decide, I need to have another child. Why? They only want the child in the baby stage. And so now their children became hellions because they didn't want them past a certain age. And there's someone watching me now. There's someone that's listening to me now. And the problem is not that your child is bad. It's just that you only wanted them as long as they needed you. You know, my mother, both of my mothers, my mom in love and my mom, both of them at one time said that they did not think that I loved them or my wife loved them. Another transparent moment. Because we did not need them like our siblings did. We went over there every day trying to get no money. We went over there, you know, trying to borrow nothing. We didn't need that. And so our mothers equated love with need. And so the children that did not really, you know, do anything with themselves were always coming by borrowing, taking, getting, and therefore they felt loved by that individual, whereas they said, why don't you love me? Listen, there are those who equate need with love. People have a need to be needed, and when they are not needed, they feel like you are rejecting correcting them. How come you're not around? How come you're not this? How come that? I don't want to be around to watch everybody else come and drain you dry. That's not what my purpose in life is, you know. And so you've got to now start doing some real hardcore looks at yourself as a parent, at yourself as an individual. You know, if you're getting into a relationship and you now have to be you got to be your man's mother. You understand?
Yeah.
He wants you to be like his mother.
Yeah.
You know, and there are some sons that have inordinate affections towards their moms. You know, they just got this inordinate affection towards their mother. They almost, I can't find nobody like my mother. Duh! How nasty is that?
Yeah.
You know, you're not trying to find anybody like your mother, like your father. You're trying to find somebody who embodies the giftings or the temperament that you saw in them. Not somebody, you know, you now want somebody that looks like your mother, that looks like your father. You want to make this person wear their hair like your mother. You want them to smell like your father. It's like something's wrong with this.
Yeah.
But I'm talking right now, and there are some that are out there right now and saying, you know what? You know, I was watching Family Guy.
Oh boy.
On one occasion. Watching Family Guy. And you know, what's the son's name? Chris? Chris. Chris goes out and gets a girlfriend.
Oh yeah. I know.
And the girlfriend looks just like Lois.
Just like his mom.
And he didn't recognize it. And Lois didn't know why she liked the girl so much. And finally, someone had to say, you know, she looks just like Lois. He's like, no, she doesn't look like my mom. You know, and you don't know that you are going and looking for people that are just like other individuals. There are people that will break up with someone and yet have a pattern of dating all of the same people and doesn't realize that they all have the same, I mean, they've got either the same look. Some guys date girls that have the same name. And they say, man, that is so funny. My ex was named such. What is it? It's because spirits get attracted to certain things. And you're now trying to figure out, why do I keep picking abusive people? Because it's got nothing to do with the person. It's got to do with the spirit that is in that person and something that you have not dealt with in you that makes you wind up being gravitating or gravitating, not being gravitating, but gravitating to something that is within you that has not yet been dealt with. Listen. There's got to be a plan. There's got to be a plan. Here's what God says in Jeremiah 29:11. He says, I know the plans, I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and an expected end. He says, I've got a plan for your life. But you got to follow my steps. You got to follow my steps. Psalm 37 verse 23. Psalm 37 verse 23 says that the steps of a good man, of a good woman, have been ordained by the Lord. So if you're not following his thoughts, his plans, or his steps for your family, it's going to get out of shape. There's a story that is told in Genesis chapter number 27. And it's dealing with Isaac. And Isaac is now about to go off the scene. And we started this a while ago. And Isaac is going off the scene, but he's got two boys that he wants to bless, Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau. He wants to bless both of them. Now, here's the thing. When Rebekah, Isaac's wife, was carrying these boys in her belly, there was a war going on. The war was going on, and she was trying to figure out, why am I having so much trouble? Why am I having such pain? It seems like there's a war going on in my body. And finally, the revelation that was given to her was that you have two nations inside of you. And you've got the nations, and you've got, you know, Jacob and Esau. Those were the twin boys that were inside of her. And there was a plan. the plan was that Jacob was going to be the one that was going to be the greater, even though he was going to be the one that was the younger. The interesting dynamic about it is that that was the vision that was given to God by God to the family. The interesting part of it is that the way that it wound up happening was through some manipulation that did not have to be.
Yeah.
God had already planned a way for Jacob to be the greater, but the parents had favorite children. Ah, boy. Isaac liked Esau. Rebekah liked Jacob. And as a result of the parents having a favorite child, they played games of manipulation with the boys, which wound up causing them to have more issues against one another. And the husband had the same problems of not trusting the wife, because now here is Isaac and Rebekah keeping secrets from each other.
Yeah.
Look, y'all, you can mess around and want something more for one child over another as a parent, to the point that you start making the children resent one another because you show favoritism for one child that you don't show for another child. Don't let your father know I did this. Don't let your mother know I did this. Man, I never forget when I was down the country, you know, my grandmother and my grandfather, I love them, you know. We'll be down there. I would go and work with my grandfather on his truck. I would work with my grandfather on his truck. My grandfather would say, I'm going to go do such and such, but don't tell your grandmother. Don't tell your grandmother.
Right.
And so he would take me by the little corner store and would buy me a great knee-high soda. I was bribed with a soda to not tell my grandmother. My grandmother, when my grandfather was not around, would let me watch TV sometimes a little bit longer than I was supposed to, because I'm only supposed to have an hour per day. I'm going to let you watch some more, but don't tell your grandfather. I'm letting you do it. And I would get her to bake a cake or some cookies. She would let me bake cookies or something with her. So I was there. I would bake cookies with my grandmother and then work on the truck with my grandfather. I became a chameleon to whatever each one of them, I wish you all would hear. I became whatever each one of them wanted so that I could get my way. Do you understand how a seed of manipulation is being deposited and nurtured in my young life that would wind up later on birthing in me a spirit of manipulation? Because I was willing at that early stage, not knowing I just loved my grandpa. I just loved my grandma. Didn't realize that there was something that was being done that was setting a stage for my future. Listen, you can mess around and cause your children, your grandchildren, to feel a certain way towards different members of the family by how you very subtly manipulate them. Don't you like me more than your aunt? See, you're saying that, and you're saying it jokingly, but words have power. And you are now sowing a seed in the psyche of that child. No, they can't have that, Grandma. Oh, it's nothing wrong with that. Now you're making the child choose Grandma over Mom. So that now they would rather be with Grandmama than to be with Mama. Why? Because we've sent a message. What is that? Grandmama lets me get away with stuff that Mama doesn't let me get away with. Come on, let's bring it a little bit closer. You've now got co-parenting, where you've got one child, but the father and the mother are not together. There's a set of rules established for the father's house. There's a set of rules established for the mother's house. And God forbid, if the father marries again or the mother has a new friend, then what winds up happening is that you then start having the decision-making being left up to the child, because the child then says, I don't want to go over daddy's house no more. Because he's mean. Now, all of a sudden, he's mean. No, it's not that he's mean. He has rules. And I like going over mama's house because mama's not mean. No, it's not that mama's not mean. Mama is trying to get you on her side so that when the custody battles come up, so that when certain things come up where I've got to get more money, when I've got to try to raise the child support, I can say thus and such and such. Listen, we have manipulated the minds and the emotions, and children are out here now that really have no real sense of what's right and what's really wrong, simply because they were not given any boundaries, no parameters. I told my wife years ago, because my wife was raised in a home where there wasn't a man, and I told her years ago, I said, I'll be the bad guy in this family. That's fine. I'm built for being the bad guy. I can't tell you how many times my children, all of them, told me they either hated me, I was mean, they were in an immature stage. But when you know that you have to hold a line for the sake of the betterment at the outcome, you accept being called bad, mean, he doesn't understand, I don't want to live with him, I don't want to stay around him. You accept that. Why? Because you know that the day is going to come in your vision when they're going to be in ministry with you. See, you've got to have a bigger vision than what is happening at the immediate. You've got to have a bigger vision than how your feelings are. Well, you don't like me, you know where you can go. You have to have a bigger vision than just that. You have got to have something for where you want to see them become. That's what was taking place in this story with Isaac and Rebekah. One favored one child. The father favored the child that was more outdoorsy. That was a hunter. That was out in the woods. He was a man's man. That's who the dad liked. The mom liked the son that was kind of, in the house, hanging around her, in the kitchen, all of that. That's the one. So they played favorites with the sons and played games with them that made the brothers resent one another because they've played favorites with each one of them. Isaac favored the one that was a woodsman and told him, I want to bless you, son. I'm getting ready to die. I want to bless you. Go get some of that food. You're going to see this in Genesis chapter number 27. Genesis chapter number 27. Go get my favorite food. I'm going to fix it for you. The mother heard what the husband, the father said and said, boy, listen, go out there. You don't have to hunt nothing. Go get a sheep. I'm going to make it look like it came from the wild. Playing games with the sons so that while one son is out hunting for the father, the other son is sitting back letting the mother do all the cooking and then dresses up like the other son, puts on the other son's clothes, smells like the other son. The mother makes the son wear a mask, puts fur all over him so that when the father, whose vision was leaving, would touch the son, he would feel fur, thinking that it was his hairy son, and he would go ahead and smell outdoorsy, thinking that that was his son. The mother helped the son manipulate his father's emotions. How many times have we seen this in families where the father will try to make a child turn on its mother by giving them Jordans back in the day, giving them tennis shoes or something, doing favor. Ain't been in the child's life none of the time, then takes them for 2 weeks during the summer, and because the child has a need for the father, winds up saying, I want to live with them. Why? Because if I've only got you for 2 weeks, I can be the best dad in the world. I can be the best dad. It's when I've got to keep you for the other 50 weeks that there's got to be rules and regulations and stipulations, and you have to go to bed at a certain time, and you have to do your homework before you go out the house, and you've got to do this. It is because there are no visions. I was talking to a young man the other night, and the young man was talking about certain things that were going on, and there were people that was in their world and this, that, and the other. And I said, no one can come into your world unless you open the door. And I said, and you all have children by different mothers and everything like that. I said, I have problems, but all my problems are with the same woman, with the same children. You all got to deal with 3 and 4 different baby mamas and everything like that. You can't talk about how bad it is, how rough it is. You laid with all of them and made children. So instead of being mad at the woman, be mad at yourself. Well, see, that shut everything down. Because, see, everyone wants to find somebody else to be mad at. I can't believe my baby mother, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That be this, that be that. Yeah, well, at one point, she was whatever you was looking for. because you now have a permanent connection with her as a result of the child. You all say something real quick. My time is getting away from me.
With having that vision, having that plan, a lot of it has to do with communication. Even just thinking about it, and I talk with some of the young girls, and we always just try to challenge them, despite of what your situation is right now, or despite of, what you may not have, you can have better, you can have different. But this generation now is just like, oh, I'm doing me, I don't need nobody, like I don't need that. Okay, you can do you, but if you don't communicate or have somebody that you can listen to or receive from,
right,
you're gonna keep on doing you and having that same mindset, and having the same repercussions, and having the same cycles that's just gonna continue to happen, because you doing you is what got you right here.
Right.
How about we just stop doing us, and allow people to be there? We don't have accountability to nobody these days. Or
No.
even when you was talking about the story with Isaac and Jacob, had there been communication with the parents,
Right,
those things wouldn't have happened.
Esau and Jacob, yeah.
Esau and Jacob, or even with your grandfather and your grandmother. If
Right.
there was a communication level between the two of them, then it wouldn't have been no manipulation in the picture.
Absolutely.
But we don't communicate, and so everybody is doing. I'm doing my own individual role as a father. I'm doing my individual role as a mother. I'm doing everybody's doing them,
Yep.
and nobody's communicating. Nobody is on the same page.
And the reason why they'll do that is because people, as you said, feel like they shouldn't have to answer.
Yeah.
I'm grown. Yeah, I understand that, but these children aren't.
Yeah.
So you gotta, Steph, what you want to say? Turn that so it gets a step.
I know a vision that I have put for my family is that we all move collectively and not as individuals. And I think that kind of ties into what you guys both have
Yes.
been saying today, that it makes a major difference when you not think for just yourself, but you think for everybody that is connected to you. And it kind of makes you make different choices as well.
But that is a powerful piece that you just said. When you are not, no man is an island.
Yeah.
No one can live unto themselves or without somebody else. And so most people only make their decisions based on how it's going to affect them.
You're never just hurting yourself.
You're never just hurting yourself. If I'm hurting anybody, it's just me. No, it's never just you, because there's somebody who is concerned about you. Somebody loves you, babe. No, don't do that. Don't do that. But listen, I'm out of time, but I'm not out of word. Listen, I'm excited about every time I have a chance to come on here. We just want to we're going to keep on hammering out this thing, and then we're going to pull out some nails that some people were hammering to hold their family together, and the nail bent sideways, and they just kept on hammering it down sideways. No, we're going to pull it out, and then we're going to get a fresh new nail and do it again, because the family dysfunction does not mean that you can't function. Right. Once again, the family dysfunction doesn't mean you can't function. We're going to right this ship and turn it around. In a canoe, you can turn a canoe around quick. But in an ocean cruise ship, it turns very slowly and very widely, so much so till you don't feel the turn. You just see you're going in another direction. That's what we're believing for your family. Again, I'm Pastor Jay Sturtevant. What's your name again?
Steph the best.
And you are?
I'm Janice.
And I just want to remind you, some people are on the air because they like the way they sound on the air. Others are on the air because they can afford to be on the air. But we're on the air because what?
We got something to say. We got something to say.
We got something to
say.
God bless you.
We
Thank
said
you.
it.
Well, I promise you, I
Hope
said
you
what I
heard it.
said. I said what I said. WBGR family, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Facebook, thank you. YouTube, you all hung in with us. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that we're saying some stuff and we've reminded you of where we are since last year. This time, we are hitting this family dysfunction, and we're going to hit it from a lot of different ways because everybody's family isn't the same. So everybody's dysfunction is not the same. So every week we're going to be hitting it from another direction, putting that millennial spin on it so that you all can apply it to your everyday life. The funny thing, is that all of a sudden my millennials have become old heads to the teens. They try to talk to the teenagers, and now they the old heads. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
When did that happen? When did that happen?
Yeah.
You all became the old heads.
Right.
I used to be the old head.
We are clear.
Now you all
Yeah, we
are
are.
the old heads.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We
No,
got
it's-
some wisdom to share.
It's called maturing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
called maturing.
Yeah.
And you can't keep on wanting to be
Yeah.
what everybody else is that's like 25 years younger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
You compete with a 15-year-old.
No, it's not right.
What's the point? What's the point?
What comes from that?
What is that? You are impressed because an 18-year-old hollering at you, hey, what's up, shorty?
I still got it. I still got it. I still look good.
I just now felt like the father of Family Guy when he was kind of like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, listen, don't forget, tonight we're going to be having our Bible study and we're going to do a little bit of teaching, but we're giving away free groceries after midweek, as we've always done. We invite you all to come on and be a part of that. Hey, there's my friend Greg. Good to see you, man.
Yes.
Love you, but I'm getting ready to go off now. But I'm so
Tune in
glad
at
you
3
came
though.
on.
Tune in
3
at
o'clock.
3.
I'll be
Yes.
back on at 3 o'clock.
Yes.
3 o'clock. I'll be right back on again with another teaching from another location.
Yep.
This is all that we've got for today. Please swipe right, share this with someone, so that somebody can come and watch it a little bit later on. Please do that for me.